how you doing?
Snookums, you won! You beat the kids, you defeated the professor, you ate his soul and gained his powers, and now you read to roam the earth and cause turmoil and destruction, and you want me to join you.
Hello everyone, this is Gruesome Herzog with my co-host John Gilling with our very special guest, actress, producer, Victoria DeMar. Victoria, how are you?
I'm awesome. How are you? Thank you for having me.
No problem. Welcome, John.
Hello there, Gruesome. How you doing?
Good.
Hello there, Victoria. How are you?
Oh, I'm fantastic. Thank you very much. How are you?
Good. I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
Question I like to start with is, well, with you it's a little bit different because there's not a lot in your working life that you don't do. Poet, singer, actress, model. So where should we start? Can we start with how you got into acting though?
Yes. I really started as a child. I was really active in the arts right off the bat. My first introduction was dance. Then I got very into voice and theater. And then I got very much into acting. And I realized that I wanted to do it all. So it's been present in my life for my whole life, I think. I don't think there's ever been a time where I haven't been performing or working or preparing something to perform.
And you was also a ballet dancer?
Yes, ballet was my first love. I would say it's still a very deep passion of mine would be ballet, especially in dance. My two favorite types of dance are ballet and breakdancing. They're my two favorites. But I also do tap and jazz and modern and contemporary. And I'll continue to dance until I'm in the wheelchair, I guess, and can't physically walk. I would hope. And so that's a deep passion of mine is the dance, especially the ballet. I can't sit through a ballet without weeping in the first 5 minutes. And just from, sheer joy and the beauty of it is just really, the floodgates of emotions come out in me with anything like dance. Because with dance, you have the music in your body, the choreography, or your words to tell the story, and that's it. And it can be very powerful. It's not just all about the steps, the technical steps of the movement, because most people don't know what the hell that even is. So you have to really dig deep to convey emotion in dance because all you have is your body.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Does it help you in your acting career at all?
Absolutely. I enjoy to watch actors who are very physical, that have a lot of behavior and movement in their work. Of course, working on camera is a three-dimensional experience, so you can be that. And I love to watch that, so I love to use my body in my work, and it's also helped me. I admire actors who do a lot of over-the-top physical work, like stunt work, and who really study that and do that and throw themselves into it. I really very much admire that, and so I've been taking that on more in my work. And as a dancer, the stunt coordinator is always very happy to hear about your dance experience because they know your agility and your flexibility and your brain capacity to pick up choreography will be steadfast because you've studied dance. So it's a similar discipline. So it absolutely has served me. I didn't know how much it really would until very, very late in my career, but it really has served me.
And before we get on to your acting, you graduated from New York University with a BA in Theatre Arts and Broadcast Journalism.
Yes.
That's pretty impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, my first year at NYU was dance, and then I had auditioned for the Joffrey Ballet Company's trainee program to be an apprentice member of their company and was accepted. So my second year at school, I decided to change my major really because of the time conflict. I had to be at Joffrey at the same time that I had to be at NYU in my dance classes at Tisch School of the Arts. So I had to change my major, and I was like, oh my God, what am I going to change my major to? Because I had so many interests, in drama and acting and theater and TV and radio journalism, and what was, music, what was I going to major in? So I just picked a couple and went for it, I guess. I'm really glad that I went to school. My first choice was Juilliard, and you had to be accepted at this hardcore, if you went into their performance program audition, aside from just applying to school scholastically. It was so cutthroat, and my backup choice was NYU, and so I got in artistically at Juilliard, but scholastically they axed me, and at NYU they accepted me at my audition. So I was like, oh, okay, all right, I'll come here.
Wow.
So that's how I ended up at NYU, but I love that school. It was a great time.
That's good. Well, we'll get on to your music career in a bit, but before that, if we can just throw a few films at you to hear some comments or thoughts. Okay, we're going to start with Slaughter Studios.
Oh yes, Roger Corman's the king.
That's it.
When I got cast in that film, I thought I had so made it. I was like, I'm going to work with Roger Corman. It was awesome.
That is an honor, though. I mean, Roger Corman is an icon. His way of films, I mean, he produces a lot of the new stuff now. It's on the Sci-Fi Channel, like some Sand Sharks. I can't remember what it was, some shark movie, and I love that kind of stuff. You were in two of them.
Dino Croc.
Yeah, Dino Croc. Yeah, and yes, and we'll get into that. But I had that one. I haven't watched it yet, but I watched all the other ones. But I mean, for a young actress to get into the business, to be casted in a Roger Corman film like Slaughter Studios, I mean, it does a lot for your ego. I mean, when I say ego, I don't mean to be an arrogant ego. I mean confidence. Like, maybe I can do this.
Oh yeah, I mean, when I went in for the writer of the production had suggested me for the audition, and I had actually went in and auditioned for one of the other roles, and I ended up playing a different part. But when I got the job, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to work with Roger Corman. Like, he didn't direct the film, but he produced it, and it was so epic because he was closing his Venice Studios location where they had shot so many of the epic historic Corman classics.
Yes.
And it was the last film that they shot there, and I thought, oh my God, I didn't care what role I played at that point, that I was a part of that production.
Right.
Was awesome, and my part was a little bigger that they had really hacked to one little scene in the final cut. But I didn't care. I had gotten a job, and also that played theatrically in Los Angeles for a month.
Wow. As
midnight screening at a really popular independent chain of theaters called the Laemmle Theaters, which are actually no longer. And there's still a couple, but they're starting to all close. And I was like, oh, that was just again, it just kept getting better and better. I got a job, oh my God, and then it was like a Roger Corman film, and then, oh my God, and I get to be a part of this production that would be so historic because they're closing the studio, and then, oh my God, and it's playing in theaters. That just kept getting better and better.
Fantastic. I mean, hey, that's bragging rights. I mean, the goal is when you're in the industry, which I'm going through it now. I mean, you have to audition and all, but when you do get a part that you're not expecting to get, and then what you just told us, it is a big thing, and it's well worth to brag about because that's something that you have in your memories now as an actress, how you got started, and that experience alone, to me, it would just drive me to want to do more. And obviously, from what you've done after that, you just really had, it gave you that willpower and fight, I'm going to do this, and I'm very proud of you. I mean, just what you said there.
It was so awesome, and some people, and not everybody jump in there and go, good for you, go for it. Some people were like, man, this is a crappy B movie. What are you gonna do? Just crappy B movies and crapped on it. And then other friends of mine that were bigger working actors were like, Victoria, do you know the long list of Oscar winners and nominees that have worked with Roger Corman? That's incredible that you got that job.
That's exactly right.
you're on an alumni list now of some heavy hitters in Hollywood. Like, some people were like, "That's awesome, man," and some people were like, "It's stupid." You know what I mean? So you got to go with the people who are like, "Do you know the long list of alumni names that are above yours now on that list of people that work with Roger Corman?" And I was like, "Yeah," like, yay, blast off.
Well, it's funny you said that, because a lot of Roger Corman stuff that I mentioned earlier that's on the Sci-Fi Channel, a lot of them are, A, actors at one time and are B now, but they're still big names. So obviously he's still attracting big actors. So screw you, whoever said that. You know what I mean? You do what you got to do. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Hey, I had a job. I was working. As a performer, I had a job. So and everything else was just like awesome.
Right. Well, the next film, I mentioned it, I have not seen it, and it seems to be hard to find, is Dino Croc in 2004. I don't know.
The DVD on Amazon.com. Amazon carries a lot, yeah.
Okay. What was your experience like in Dino Croc now?
Well, again, that was also like a crazy, awesome experience. I went in again on a suggestion, same guy or pair of guys, but I had a very strong working relationship with one of them. His name is John Huckert, and I still do. And another production that we actually just worked on. So I've known him, worked with him for a really long time. Amazingly talented guy. Suggested me again to the audition. Same producer of Slaughter Studios as well, Damien Ackaby. And when I went in, I actually had auditioned for the film opens with the animal attacking a lab assistant working in a laboratory, and it was written very differently than the scene that was actually shot. But anyway, I was auditioning for that role because John had seen me as an actress to play an opening scene of a film that, like Jaws, like the girl who goes out and stays living with her boyfriend on the beach, and she gets attacked by this creature, and you can't even really see what's going on, but you can see her death, like in the water and being dragged around, and it's horrifying because you don't even know what's happening. So he wanted to write something like that, like something's attacking this woman. You can't even really see what it is, but her death is just horrifying. So he wrote this incredible scene. I went into audition for that, and he was there when I auditioned and went in, did the thing, and left, thank you very much. And I totally threw myself into it. And he came running out down the hallway at New Concord and was like, Victoria, wait. And I turned around and was still kind of in tears because it was a really heavy, intense scene. And he said, Victoria, if they had been lit and set up in there, we could have just shot it. We could have just shot the scene right there and saved money. That was incredible. It was so much more than I had ever even thought of when I wrote it. Congratulations. It was so great. It was so great. And I was just like, he's like, thank you, and I was like, oh my God. And then when I went out and got in the car, my boyfriend at the time was like, I almost came upstairs because I knew you were auditioning for this role with something that was killing you, but it really sounded like I almost got out of the car. Like, I hope you got that. I hope you got the job. And I was like, I don't know, but the writer just came out and said that we could have shot it. And then I didn't. Again, I got like another really small other different role or whatever. But again, like to do a performance like that in front of like people like that and working for that company who were like, wow, like, because they're budget savvy over there. I mean, what they can make and what they what out is unbelievable, and be like, wow, that was so good. We could have just shot it and we can be ahead of schedule right now. Like this actress can save us money. It's like I for it being like another really iconic like moment in like my career was the audition for Dino Croc, which again like a really, really small role, and we were shooting on location at some way far out place outside of Hollywood, and it was the first time where I had like a trailer with like my like initials on it and like a star on the door, and like when I got to set I couldn't find where I was supposed to be because I couldn't buy the trailers and I didn't see the initials, and I didn't think that I got like a trailer like that, and I was like so mad because I couldn't find like the holding area and where I was supposed to be, and they were like, well, you're supposed to be in the trailer. Your trailer is right over there with your initials on it. And I was like, oh my God, I couldn't find where I was supposed to be. It was ridiculous. I was like, oh, I have a trailer. So yeah, Roger Corman, that was my kickoff. It was awesome.
Well, I don't want to take up too much time on this subject, but my question to you, when you mentioned about the audition that you did and the part was changed, okay? Now, what was your mindset? I understand that I know about auditioning, and it can be frustrating, a lot of hard work to build. But now, did you rationalize your change in character? I mean, was the experience alone that you just mentioned about the writers saying they could have shot it right here, but then the part was changed? Did you rationalize that in your mind that, okay, I mean, it's nothing that I did, it just was changed?
No, at the time, like, I mean, I've been auditioning for like 30 years or something like that, like ridiculous. And every time I go in, I always feel like it's the first time, and I always feel like I get so nervous, like I'm going to have a heart attack and die. And when I don't get the job, I still have a nervous breakdown every time. I'm still heartbroken that I was rejected, just heartbroken that, like, their reaction was so like, holy shit, but then I didn't get the part. I was heartbroken. It was like a shotgun blow to the chest. I can never rationalize it. Later, and I always take the job because I'm grateful to have the job and be like, okay, I still continue to work or whatever, but
right.
it's always a blow. And after 30 years, that's ridiculous. I mean, since being a child, I still never get over it. It's always sucks. But you just have to pull yourself off the floor, or some people don't, and just keep going. I mean, and then that's the test of whether you can really live the life of a performer. Is, can you get off the floor? And some people say, I'm getting sick of getting knocked down to the floor, and to hell with this. And it's really hard to get up and keep going sometimes.
Well, there's one key word: passion. You have
yes.
passion.
What's the alternative? Well, what else am I going to do? This is what I've done my whole life. So I get up.
Cutting Room?
Yes, the
Cutting
Room.
Tell us about that?
Yeah, that was a good film. That was a reshoot that I did that actually they had shot that film and then they were adding more footage. They were adding a few more scenes that they added me to. So I actually shot that not at the time of the production of when it was shot with everyone else. That was a kind of an additional shoot that was added once they were in post-production. So my experience was with the second unit team and the director. And a couple of the scenes that they shot, they didn't even use.
Oh.
So it was a paycheck gig. That was the cutting room. So. Psychon Invaders? Yeah, sure.
The Psychon Invaders, directed by Jeff Leroy. And it's a sci-fi, which I grew up as a sci-fi fan because of my dad. But your experience on this one, I have not seen it, but I'm going to look for it. I kind of forgot about it. But it's a sci-fi. You're now doing stuff for Jeff Leroy. I mean, you got a cast like Ford Austin, like I mentioned, Sean Kane and Danielle DeLuca. What was your experience like on this film?
Well, I'll never forget where I got the phone call for this one, because I came into this one because of Vincent Blanchio, who I had, who it is funny how it all ties in with, I had started working with John Hucker very early in my career, who had introduced me to Roger Corman when I moved to Los Angeles. And Vincent Blanchio had actually worked on one of John Hucker's film called Hard that did very, very well. And when I auditioned for Zero Blood for the Sand, Vincent was producing that and also had co-written it and co-directed it. I talked to John Huckert about his final choices for his film, and John Huckert said, "Oh, well, if Victoria DeMar is one of them, you have to hire her. She's an asset to any production, hands down." And once he did, I was so very grateful to have met Vincent Blanchio. Because of Vincent Blanchio, from that point on, I wouldn't have had dozens and dozens and dozens of opportunities. I'm so thankful and grateful for him. The blast off with him was really a Zero Blood from the Sand, which Jeff had worked on a day. I had auditioned for a film that Jeff was doing with Dave. Dave.
Yeah.
David Sterling.
Yeah.
I did Aliens versus Avatars with. Jeff and Dave were doing a film initially that was called Unseen Evil 2 that was released as something else. At the same time, I auditioned for Zero Blood from the Sand. And they went with somebody else on Unseen Evil, and then Vincent hired me for Zero Blood from the Sand. But on it, Jeff was doing sound and was like, "Oh my God, Victoria," because Jeff had liked me or David wanted to go another way or something like that. And then when I got the call for Psychon Invaders, it was because Vinny was like, this is really for Victoria. You should really work with Victoria. And it was the first time that was really like the central character in a film, like the lead, the star, the central character of the entire story. So I was like, oh my God. And it was thankful really to Vincent for suggesting me on that, and for Jeff really going like, yeah, I totally want to work with Victoria. And from there, like, doing Work in a Woman's Prison, like, there was Jed Rowan was like are you guys going to do like a trilogy? Or are you guys going to do like a series together? Is it going to be like a Leroy, like Valencio Demar production, like series starting or whatever? Because I felt like we were tapping into this, like bringing the essence of this ridiculous, sexy B movies of the 70s in a retro kind of way,
right.
like back, like as a total like homage to them, like not spoof, but very close to it, just like a hilarious series of films, and I wanted to do Rat Scratch Fever with him, but I have a serious phobia with rats. He had rats crawling all over that girl and up her arms and chest and hair and everywhere. And them even getting close to me in We're Up in a Woman's Prison almost gave me a heart attack and killed me. So it was like, Victoria, this is the movie that I want to make, and can I put rats all over you? And I was like, okay, because I really wanted to do the picture, but I couldn't handle the rats. So then the series kind of fell into oblivion. It didn't happen. So when he was going to make, because for years I was like, when are we going to make another movie together? When are we going to make another movie together? And then when I heard that he was doing this, I was like, what is your budget? Because I want in. And then he said that possibly he was going to be working with Sterling on it again. And I was like, that'd be great. I love Dave. Like, I loved working on Aliens versus Avatar. Like, Dave is great. Like, I've known Dave for so many years. So I love the fact that you're a part of this production. It's so great. Leroy, I love his films.
Werewolf in a Woman's Prison.
Woo! It was one of the best times I've ever had, and I've been working for a really long time, approximately professionally 15 years or so, and We're Up in a Woman's Prison is definitely in my top 5. I was like making the film like a ridiculous film that you always wanted to make, like with your best friends. It was awesome. I almost killed. It was the first time I worked on a film and almost killed someone by a total accident. I lit the stunt actor in the werewolf suit on fire by an accident, but I have to agree with Jeff. In retrospect, though, it made for a great shot because it ended up in the film actually lighting the werewolf on fire, and lighting the suit and then throwing it off a cliff was a totally different shot. But actually lighting the werewolf on fire was awesome, and I didn't mean to, but it turned out to really be great for the movie. But I didn't kill him. He's totally fine and well, and has produced several of the other movies that I worked on after that. And you can see the shot in the movie too. It's in the beginning when the werewolf is attacking the couple, Sarah and Jack, and the werewolf is mauling Jack. He's got him by the throat and is mauling him, and I run to the fire and pick up a burning log and start beating I'm kind of tapping him with it. It's very funny and ridiculous that I'm kind of like tapping with him instead of like beating him. I'm supposed to be beating him with it, but I didn't want to hurt him because I was friends with the guy in the suit, and also it was on fire. But by accident, I did light the suit on fire. And you see like the suit go up, and he like gets up and he's all kind of like frantic or whatever, and that was real because the suit was and every time I see that, it's like, and then we're like out in the middle of the woods somewhere, oh man. And it was like there was no like hospital, like it was a serious moment where the executive producer was kind of like was really had like a holy shit.
Diary of a Serial Killer, another great title.
Yeah, that was the original title of that production. It was released under the title Copycat, about a serial killer, but I love the Diary of a Serial Killer title better. But yeah, a great film. Love that film. It's still playing, on video on demand and pay-per-view channels here and there, and again, Amazon carries most things. It's on DVD. One of my favorite attack scenes was ever in Copycats when I got nailed in the eye with a screwdriver. Great. Looking through the peephole, I'm a crackhead trying to, light up my fix. Someone's bothering me. I'm at the door trying to see who the hell this is. That won't go away, and I get nailed through the eye hole, the peephole, with a screwdriver in the eye. It was great.
Wow, I gotta see that.
The shot of that is actually on one of my reels on YouTube. I think it's a Batty Boop Ninja channel or something like that. And it's or on my website. You can go to my website on the media page. It's under theatrical reel, I have several different reels that are just a minute long here and 2 minutes there and 3 minutes there because there's so much material, but there is one that's actually like 9 minutes long that has that scene in it.
The next one, I think you know it by a different title, but over here is Contagion, which I have seen.
Oh yes, Bioslime! John Lachago's
That's
Bioslime, woo! Which is now currently playing on Time Warner Cable Video on Demand if you're in the U.S. and you get that service. So check out Bioslime.
Was that fun to make?
Oh yeah, that was awesome. John Lachago is like my older brother to me. I worship him, his work as an artist and as a person. And I'll never forget that phone call. He called me and said, "Victoria, I'm rounding up my usual suspects. I'm making another production." And just the fact that he thought that I was one of his usual suspects and someone that he wanted in the production come hell or high water, I couldn't believe it. To be John Lachago's leading lady is still such an honor. So that blew me away. That was the first time where I really thought that wow, like I'm on someone's list. Like I could work for the rest of my life like this. That's a really, really awesome kind of safe kind of feeling, a secure feeling in a way. And as an actor, you're never safe and secure. So it's really an amazing thing when a filmmaker, and you see them, the ones that explode and do so well. And a lot of them, you see them hiring the same cast of characters, just actors that they love so much that they start writing parts with them in mind, and you see them appearing in all their productions, and I think that is just awesome.
The next one, which we've got to mention because of Saturday, is George's Intervention, co-starring Lynn Lowry.
A hysterical zombie comedy. It's on iTunes, it's on Amazon again, of course. I loved working on that production. Tom Devlin, the special effects artist on that, actually brought me into that production, who I've worked with on a long list of films.
I know Tom.
Yeah, who I just love, who's so talented. And I love him. I've known him for a really, really long time, and I think that John and Tom was the special effects creator for Bioslime, and the reason it's Contagion on IMDb is because it came out in Japan in 2010 as Contagion on DVD, and somehow it got listed that way. But it only in that foreign territory is it known as that title. It is actually Bioslime, so people get confused on that title. But thanks to Tom Devlin for suggesting me for George's. That also played for a very short time in a theater in Los Angeles as well. Sorry, I think actually the George's movie was the first zombie I ever played. So that was why I was so psyched about that film.
A non-zombie movie, but interesting, The Awakening, 2010.
Yeah, that was a small part. I love shooting out in the woods at night in the middle of nowhere. There have been so many productions that have had that kind of setting for exteriors, and so that's what made me want to do that film, because my scenes were all dancing around this bonfire in the middle of nowhere, and it was rain, and it started to rain, and we just got really good footage. And I got hired because I was on that for another film called Dust Up, directed by Ward Roberts.
Love that film.
Oh, amazing.
Love that film.
And he is good friends with the guy who made The Awakening, and went to see that. And I had a similar role in The Awakening as I did in Dust Up. And he was like, when he saw the first shot of me in Awakening, he was like, "Wait a minute, I know those boobs. Wait a minute,
Oh, jeez.
those are my boobs. Those are my boobs. Those are the boobs in my movie. Wait a minute. Oh my God, Victoria DeMar. Yes, of course." And I started to get these jobs because people were like, "I need those boobs, Victoria DeMar's boobs." So thanks for The Awakening, getting me a job because of that.
Good story. Killjoy 3 as
Yes.
character Batty Boop.
Yes, my favorite character I've ever played.
And
Thanks again to John Lachago. He wrote that part. He loved the Killjoy series and was discussing working with Charlie Band and on what they wanted to do. And John wrote Killjoy 3, which is also known as Killjoy's Revenge, on some DVD services like Redbox and Blockbuster in the U.S., Blockbuster.com, I guess now. But he wrote that part with me in mind, and when we was, talking to Charlie about it, and Charlie read the script and loved it and wanted to do it, and it was kind of like, Victoria DeMar is the only person who can play this part, though. So
wow.
we want to get her. And Jeff Leroy read the script before I did. And I was like, what did you think? What did you think? I hear Charlie wants to do it. He's greenlit it, and I hadn't read it yet. And he was like, I know what character John has for you. You must be Batty Boop. Oh, that's cool. That would be interesting. And I was like, and like that. Since Jeff said that, I was like, I needed the script immediately, and read that and was like, oh my God, I can't believe the pressure. Like at first I was like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. Like this is going to be really hard to turn this into, because he was like, I want to use your dance experience and your movement ability. So I was like, okay. So I got, okay. And then he's like, and I want to paint you entirely, and I want, give me some kind of a dialect or an accent or something, some kind of, she sounds, she has a specific sound. So I was like, oh my God, those are my notes. So that was what I had to run with. And I was so nervous the first day that we shot that. That was the first time I ever shot on location somewhere where I woke up and was like sick to my stomach all morning before the transportation got there to take me to set. I was just so sick to my stomach. And as soon as I saw John, because it was a 5-hour makeup application to play Batty Boop before we even started to shoot. And so we had a pre-call with the makeup department and John and me. And when I saw John, he was like, good morning, Victoria, how are you? I just broke down and busted into tears. He was like, oh my God, what's wrong? And how I was so nervous, and I just didn't want to let him down. Like I had prepared something that I hoped that he's gonna like, and I just don't want to let him down, because we were all the way in China. Like it was an insane experience. I'll never forget it. And the first scene that I shot, the very first day, or my day, was the seduction scene where she has the guy in her lair, the Batty Boop seduction scene. There are clips of it on YouTube. And that was the very, very first day that I shot. And it's funny how everything else, like when you watch it, it all worked. And when I watched that performance, because you remember, you're an actor, certain, takes or certain scenes you had and the experiences you had. Sometimes you remember when you're watching it. And when I watch it, I go, wow, that performance was mostly one take. Because we would be action, and it would be like, go, Victoria, and then he would be like, we're moving on. Good. Let's go. And he was always like so thankful for like my preparation and willingness to hit the ground running. Because with that character, you had to go all the way, balls out, because I was fully nude on set in the entire studio, the whole day, because that was a full body makeup application, boots, the wig, the contacts. We had wings initially that with the heat in China just peeled right off my back. We couldn't get them to stay. They were too heavy. And it just was one of those things where you're not getting many takes of this character.
Right.
Like, you're going wild with this, and then we're moving on. And when I saw what Trent played Killjoy in number 2, but he was not the initial Killjoy. And I didn't see Killjoy 2. I mean, I had seen it many, many years ago, but I didn't watch it again before we did the third one, because it was, I just wanted to be buried in what I was doing, and I didn't need to rewatch it.
Right.
But when I saw him coming into set one day doing this really loud, huge character, this big character he was doing, I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm in the right ballpark, because I had also, when I read this, I was like, these characters are larger than life, and you're playing, like a live action character though, but something that could be like a comic book character, so you have to be larger than life. And some actors can't commit to being that huge because they get self-conscious and they're like, is this too loud for the camera? Because some people think, oh, you have to be so quiet in front of the camera. You can only be big on stage, and that is not true. It is just a change of venue. It's just a change of media. It's not a change of technique. So, I think that live-action films like Killjoy, even in low-budget series, not the big-budget live-action comic-like characters, you have to be larger than life. Those actors are too. You have to be when you play that kind of character.
Exactly.
Next one, what a cast this has. Horrorween 2011.
Oh yeah, that film was a excuse the term, but clusterfuck. If every person that filmmaker could possibly round up and get a day of their time, he had a cameraman with him to shoot that scene, because none of those people even actually worked together. I didn't work on any of those scenes with any of those people. Like, nobody worked with anybody on those, like, same scenes. Like, it was ridiculous. It was amazing that he got all those people in that film.
Killjoy Goes to Hell, Victoria. What can you tell us about that?
Oh, that was awesome. Again, when they said they were going to make another one, I very much wanted to, and I was thrilled. I mean, Killjoy 3, I think I forget what website it was, but they were rating the top 10 independent films of 2010 or whatever, and Killjoy 3 made number 10 on that list. And so for a low-budget horror movie to make a list like that, and there were other much bigger independent films on that list, I thought, okay, we're going to make another one. And then when we did, I was so excited, and now I'm just ready for another one. At the screening of Ginger Deadman versus Evil Bum, I was asking all the producers when we were going to make another Killjoy. They wanted me for the voice of Tart because of Batty Boop, because they love that. So yeah, it was awesome. That was the first time I ever worked on a film where I went to the hospital because I just exhaustion and just like freaked out. Like, it was 6 hours that day getting into the makeup, and suddenly like I had to stand the whole time when doing that character. I mean, I could sit down at lunch because then they could retouch everything before we went back in to shoot. But while when I got to work, when they were ready for me, I had to get up and stand totally with my arms up and out and my legs apart, fully standing, so all the artists the team of them would be able to work. And
right.
At some point, they'd feed you your meals and your drink or whatever to keep you hydrated, and then while you're shooting, I'm upped and I'm amped anyway, but of course you can't sit down then because you're stepping on to shoot. And it was such an intense application that at one point, like my left arm started to feel tingly and hurting, and like my feet were kind of hurting and numb, and like my vision was impaired, and they were like, okay, we're gonna need to call 911. It was, and they ended up sending me home, but then I didn't end up going to the hospital to get checked out. But that was the first time that I ever went to the hospital when working on a production. So it was pretty intense.
Well, the next film, Dust Up, I got that film through a screener from a distributor. Dust Up is a film that it's so, it should be more known, because I love Dust Up. I think that's one of the most impressive surprise films I've ever gotten that I didn't know I was getting. And give listeners an idea of what Dust Up is about. I mean, it's a fantastic film. I think John needs to see this film.
Oh, it's a great film. It's a total action comedy, about these people that live way out in the high desert. And there's a drug dealer out there, this bad guy out there,
yeah,
causing havoc, and because one guy owes him money that is just kind of like a loser, they abscond with his kid, and so him and his friends and his wife are on a rampage they're going to take out this, the Al Capone of the desert, and they're gonna staunch his castle and take him out, and it's just a wild, ridiculous, action comedy. Ward Roberts, I think, is a genius. I love him. I was so happy to work on that. It actually played theatrically in 15 cities nationwide in the U.S., which was wonderful. And it didn't actually go to the Redbox service, but playing on video on demand services on cable and all over the place, in DVD and every film festival you could possibly think of. I was hoping that it was going to continue to spread in theaters, because it would play for a week or a weekend somewhere, where move on to someplace else. And I was hoping that it would actually continue playing more cities and longer, because I just thought that film, the music was so good, the soundtrack was so good, all the actors were so good, it was shot so well. And it's amazing how little they had to make that, and what they pulled off. A lot of Amber Benson fans were not expecting to see her in that film. She played the wife, of course, and was wonderful. And we're really happy to get her. And she was a sweetheart, and not a film very, very, very far from anything that she plays. So it was really fun for her as well. And another great actor, Ezra Buzzington, was in that. Played the sheriff trying to take the drug dealer down, who I've worked with and known for many years. Worked on several different productions together.
Yep.
Ezra had a great part in The Artist, in the Academy Award-winning The Artist film. His career is really taking off, and he was amazing in that. So we had a great cast of characters, and Al Burke and Tom Duff again brought me in, and Tom's wife Lola brought me into that production, and God, we just had a really good time. Yes, we are having as much fun as it looks like.
That's a good film. I really love that film. Well, I mentioned this a little earlier, but now that we're ready, it's called Stripped in 2012. That's another film that I've gotten. I've not seen it yet, but give listeners an idea of what this film is about.
This is a great film. I really enjoyed working on it. I like to play those. I mean, I'd rather play the monster, skank, hooker, whore, crackhead coming out of the sewer than I would than play any pretty girl next door hottie ever. I mean, I would always choose the latter. So I played this skanky prostitute in this brothel. It was really, really fun. It's if you like those kinds of horror thriller films like Hostel, the torture, serial killer torture kind of films, it'll be right up your alley. It was shot very interestingly through the point of view of video cameras, surveillance cameras, security cameras and such, about these kids that are going to Vegas to celebrate their friend's 21st birthday party, and they want to get wild, and they end up going to this, and they want to get him laid and everything, and just, go crazy. The bunch of boys and one girl that is best friends with the guy who's his birthday, and she's going to meet her boyfriend when she's out there, and they're friends, and they're all going to rendezvous and party in Vegas, and everything goes wrong when they go to this club where it's more of a brothel, and the hookers are there to drug you and take you out, and the psycho comes out of the basement and hacks you up for your organs and sells them. So
cool.
It's I mean, it's if you like those torture kind of films, that grotesque kind of horror or whatever, which seem to be fan favorites, you'll love it. I was really happy to work on it. Trying to hit all the zombie genres, the werewolf genres, the vampire genres, the torture genres. I mean, I'm trying to check off my list.
Well, one more I'll do, and then John can take over. I want to touch on this. You mentioned this earlier. You had a voice work for this one. Ginger Dead Man versus Evil Bong. Not yet released, but as you know, the Ginger Dead Man, I have the 3-pack of that one. I ain't got the new one yet, but that has Gary Busey as the original voice of Ginger Dead Man. And Evil Bong, I have that trilogy. Have not watched it yet, but they're very popular. Anyways, you were in this film, your voice-wise. Do you know any possibility when the release is going to be?
Yes. It is supposed to be first released and available on Full Moon's streaming.com's new service, kind of like Netflix's streaming service.
Okay.
Full Moon Features has such a massive catalog at this point.
I know.
They've started their own subscription service to directly stream all of their productions, which, I mean, they have a massive catalog, so it's really an incredible deal.
Right.
Sign up for their service, actually, which is wonderful. So it'll be available on that right away. The release date, I believe, is scheduled for this month, October 29th.
Cool.
On that service, fullmoonstreaming.com. It's a subscription service. Also on video on demand services, pay-per-view services, and cable services. In the U.S., it comes to DVD the following month or so. I think it's, they go off in tiers. Like it'll be available on this service, and then the next couple of weeks it'll be available on this service. The next couple of weeks it'll be out on DVD. So, but October 29th, I think, is the first time you can get it anywhere or see it anywhere.
I definitely want to see that, but I have to watch other ones first, of course.
Yeah, and I was so very excited about it because they did a really good job of catching you up on the Evil Bong series and the Ginger Dead Man series. kind of with this matchup. So if you haven't seen the other ones, or you haven't seen the other ones in a long time, it catches you up in the story, and it does it in a fantastic way. So it's a total comedy horror. First time I had the opportunity to play the voice of an actual character or puppet or toy or animated figure. So I was so very, very excited. Again, I'll never forget getting that call. I actually wasn't a call, and that one was an email, but I was very, very excited to get that email because someone over there was so excited and impressed by the Batty Boop voice and sound that I created myself, that they thought of me to do another voice, which was awesome. Voice of Tart in Ginger Dead Man is a Batty Boop-esque kind of sounding character, but not exactly the same at all, but in the same ballpark, I would say.
Cool. I'm definitely going to check that out. Definitely.
Yay!
Next one we're launching onto is The Divine Order.
Yes, a horror film I shot this year with Patrick O'Bell, who I love. Known Patrick again for a very long time, who is just an amazing human being, incredible artist. I'm very, very supportive of his career and his desire to make these films. Several years ago, when I met him, he's made a couple of them now and has a few more on his slate. I just think he's an amazing filmmaker. After working on The Divine Order, I said to him, Patrick, I wish I could go to work every day and get up and go to work every day and be directed by you.
Oh, that's nice. Right, we've got 3 more, so I hope that you can talk about these because I think they're all for release next year. The first one that I definitely want to see is called The Prototype.
Oh, yes, a science fiction action film that I play Queen Iona, the Queen of the Universe, so everybody must tune in to it. Yes, Marcelo has been working on this film, the filmmaker, for a very, very, very long time. It's another one of those films where we've been working on it for so many years. It'll be such an amazing accomplishment to see it released. It just keeps getting better and better. Every cut that I see him working on it, and the more and more time that he's taking to make the picture that he really wants to make, and just taking the time to do it, I think it's going to be fantastic when it finally comes out.
Yeah, the trailer, there's a couple of trailers for it on YouTube, and they look really, really awesome. So everyone's going to have to see that.
Oh, absolutely, and he's doing more, another round of special effects, and he's going to release actually one more trailer before the film actually comes out with some more scenes in it and some more special effects. So there'll be one more coming out.
Do you know when that's released?
I believe it's slated for next year, 2014, but I have no idea what month, whether it's going to be an early or late year release or whatever. Again, I know wants to release one more big final trailer for the film and do a final pass on it, a final cut on it before it. But I understand, he wants to get it right, and so I think this film that the cut only ended up being 36 minutes. It took me 5 years to make that film.
What film is that?
It's called Loving Graham Parsons. It's not on IMDb. It's on my website. It's a fan tribute film that I made to Graham Parsons, of course, legendary musician and songwriter, and it's a short, and it's spinning around at festivals and whatnot, but it's available on DVD only through my website. It's a film I starred in and produced, and it was an epic experience. It was the first film as a producer that I had stepped into that seat in that position, and it's an eye-opener. So I'm really proud of it, and it's really a fun, total departure from anything that you'll ever see me in that's out on any other service or site. A totally different departure. In this part, it's a musical drama, so it's not the horror genre at all, but it took me 5 years to make it, and I'm really glad that when it was done and it was out and I had the DVD in my hand, it was like I was holding an Oscar. I mean, I felt like I'd really accomplished something when I finished it and had the DVD in my hand.
Yeah, it is. It's your own film, so every right to be proud. Two-Face will be out next year.
Oh yeah, that's a film actually that I just wrapped on. That my role was just wrapped on. I think the entire production's wrapped now. They're in post-production now, directed by John Kearns Jr. Great guy, awesome. I had an awesome time making that. First time I ever got to play like that total grit. Like, I'm a grave digging, like webcam porn star, like trailer trash, cigarette smoking, beer drinking kind of girl, and it was a great part. Produced by a girlfriend of mine. We go way back, named Jackie Holland, who also stars. Jackie and I go way back in being in Girls and Corpses magazine together several years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, 5 years.
And our last one, 13 Girls.
Jim Towns. I know Jim Towns.
Oh, I love Jim. I was so very excited about this production and to be able to be a part of this production. We haven't started shooting yet. We don't start shooting until next year. But we were going to start this month, and the cast is kind of like blowing up on productions. We're like, I'm booked all 31 days straight in October, and Sadie had a film coming out in theaters nationwide, and we lost one of the other cast members who was just cast in the new Hunger Games coming out. So all of a sudden the production was kind of falling apart because the cast was exploding. And so we pushed our production dates to the beginning of next year, to January. So I can't wait to start shooting that. I adore Sadie Katz. She was my hot lesbian girlfriend in Lesbian Zombies from Outer Space that we shot together last year, and she is just amazing. She's now in House of Bad, Jim Towns' film House of Bad that was just released. Sadie also stars in.
Yeah, House of Bad. Good movie.
Yeah, great film. Jim Towns is awesome. I was so very excited we had the same admiration for Sadie, so we bonded on our love for Sadie Katz, which is awesome. When I saw that Sadie was doing this film, was also producing the film, and some demonic entity possesses this classroom of Catholic schoolgirls who all end up killing themselves. It's a mass suicide. And Sadie's character is a detective trying to figure out what the hell went down, but the entity, the demon, is still active and around. And I play a character that's possessed by the demon. And initially, I'd been casting like 2 different roles in this film, and had like sent Jim an audition video of me in this scene that he had sent of being the schoolgirl as the demon, and like totally freaked him out. Totally freaked him out. It was like, what the hell was that I just saw? And was like, oh my god. So I can't wait to work on this with the 2 of them.
Jim Towns is a good dude. I mean, House of Bad I loved. That's a cool film. So
I can't wait to work with Jim. I'm very, very, very excited. They were doing scheduling like a promo shoot day to get some promotional images out and information about the film, and I've been so incredibly overbooked this month that there was I couldn't be in 2 places at the same time, with just a time conflict. And he was talking about that he wanted to shoot some promotional stuff in addition to the stills, but to actually shoot some scenes or some promotional footage to promote the film over the next couple of months until we go into production. And I said, I think that was a great idea. And so we're going to get together and shoot some stuff with my character, so that'll be great.
Okay. Right, is there any films that we haven't mentioned that you'd like to give a mention to at all?
Of my career, that actually was the film that I met Patrick LaBelle on, that I can't really talk too much about, but I just wanted to mention it in a brief way, but I can't mention anything other than that, unfortunately. But everyone will understand why when they see it. And then there's a couple other things like this month and next month that are actually being released. Ambush is an action film that's actually out now in the U.K. I think it came out in September, the end of September 23rd or something. And November 12th is its DVD release, and I think video on demand as well in the States. And a really awesome film directed by Caleb Emerson called Oyo de Noyo, which is a fantasy thriller film about some serial killers that take out a bunch of victims, and one of which starts haunting them, which is me. And I'm really excited about that, which is going to play at Quentin Tarantino's Beverly Cinema here in Los Angeles in theaters, and followed by a DVD release in November. So I'm also very excited about that.
Do you want to tell us a bit about your singing career? I've left that to one side for the moment.
Oh yes. Music is another deep passion of mine. I love writing songs. I have a recording session this evening. The studio has really become my church. Music to me is so very deep, dear, and special. My earliest memories of music were watching my dad and my uncle, his brother, whip out their guitars and harmonize and sing and play together, and like blew my mind. It's just such an impression that I've followed suit in my life to create music. So I don't think most people on earth go a day without listening to some kind of music in their life on a daily basis.
Right on.
So in being able to touch people in that way, and literally on a daily basis, I think is an amazing way to communicate. And music, does so many things for so many people. And I love and worship my partner on my musical productions, Michael Sean Collin, who's a film composer that I've worked with on a couple of my films, a few of my films, I suppose. We've known each other for a long time, though. A dear colleague, also John Luchago's, and Michael Sean Collin is on John Luchago's Usual Suspects list. So that's how we all met. But I love working with him. I have a CD out now that is a dream that took me my whole entire life to realize. That is now available on CD on my website, screenqueendemar.com, which is a 12-track pop rock album that I wrote and produced and published and arranged and performed, and it's really literally a lifelong dream realized. Always dancing around to my favorite artists' CDs in my room and singing along and pretending that they were my songs. It was my CD, and now I have my own songs and my own CD. So
that's cool.
I got sick of being in bands for eons and eons, and all bands break up and fight, and they just, I figured going as a solo artist career, I won't break up with myself. So I also got sick of singing everybody else's songs that they wrote and they produced, and now I'm doing my own material, and it's awesome.
Fantastic. What a career so far.
Yeah, definitely. And you've had the opportunity to work with Kim Foley as well? Oh,
yes. That was really my hardcore music university training and experience. I really learned how to write and record and produce hits because of Kim Foley and his amazing talent and experience that dates back all the way to the 60s. His dozens and dozens of gold and platinum records are really quite amazing. And when you work with him in the studio, I would say some of the highest points in my entire career professionally as a performer were in the studio with Kim Foley. That was some of the most incredible experiences of my life, those recordings and the music that we had done together. And he always used to yell, pay attention, and I would always say, I am paying attention to all this craziness. I mean, Kim Foley, you either love him or you hate him. And when you listen to his music and you review his work and then you meet him in person, I mean, he's larger than life, and it's just his knowledge and his experience throughout Hollywood is just unbelievable. And if you do pay attention, it is really quite an education that you will get. And I'll never forget it. And it really, he really pushed me to anything that would happen. He would yell, write a song about it. Something would go down, or anything would go down in my life, or I'd have a thought or an opinion about anything, and he'd yell out, write a song about it, and always pushing me to write songs. I was like, I'm not a songwriter, I can't write songs, I don't know how to do this, that is not my forte, it's not my talent. And I was so wrong, and and he revealed that to me, so I'm very grateful for that. I have a new song that I've written that I'm working with Michael Sean Collin on with that I just love, and we're gonna get a scratch track down of it and get going on it, and I can't wait. We just shot a music video for one of my singles that's out on iTunes called There You Are, So that video will be out hopefully in the next 4 to 6 weeks, up on YouTube and Vimeo and those services to check out. And the CD's doing well. If you don't have one, pick it up. I have a nice review and article coming out in New Noise magazine in their next edition. So I'm very, very excited.
Excellent. I'll check it out.
Is there anything else you want to give a shout out to before we get to our final question?
Go to my website, screamqueendemar.com, to check out some news and information. There's merchandise on there. There's release information, my production slate, more things need to be added to it, releases and all kinds of things happening. So I'd say check that out. Check me out all over Amazon and iTunes for films and music. And I have some new prints, 8x10 prints available on my website also, that people seem to be really loving. So you could check out some new photos on my site as well.
Can you name your favourite horror film?
Oh, my favorite horror film. God, that's it's a hard one. I might have to go Spielberg and say Jaws. That film still horrifies me to this day. I have a deep-seated fear of any kind of water that I can't see the bottom. The ocean, forget about it. I never go in the ocean. Jaws scared me, petrified me, terrified me for life. And I think that's one hell of a horror film if it does that to you well into adulthood. So Jaws.
Good choice.
Yeah, I know Gruesome would like that.
Yeah. I would love
Favourite of his.
I'd love to have an opportunity to work with a filmmaker like that creates something so horrifying that it terrifies you for a lifetime.
Yeah.
I would also like people to look me up on Facebook. Send me a friend request. I have fan pages. I have a musician band page. I have an entertainer page. There's a Batty Boot page. So check me out, and I'm on Twitter too. So I'm out there and about. Fans reach out to me, send me a tweet, a friend request, send me an email through my website, send me a hello, a shout out. I always respond. It may take me a while to get to you, but I always respond.
All right, well, thanks a lot for coming on. A fantastic guest.
It's been awesome.
I wish you all the luck, and maybe in the future we'll work together, Victoria.
Yes.
You never know.
Production, maybe that could be a real possibility, because I think that what he had in mind, his pitch was terrific, and any Jeff Leroy film is a good time, so maybe. Yeah,
you never know. Well, thank you very much. Take care of yourself and keep up the great work.
Thank you guys. Thank you for
your it's been great.
Thank you so much. Everybody keep rocking and rolling, and then. To the fans, don't ever let anybody tell you that you can't do what you want to really do. Go for it.
Exactly right. Well said.
Thank you.
Take care, dear.
That's it.
Take care. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll see you.
Bye. Take care.